Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. 70-741 Lab 6, Installing and Configuring IP Address Management. That's the acronym IPAM, IPAM. We'll be performing this lab in Hyper-V versus ACE-IT lab, depending on your exercise. Please choose the correct lab. Okay, so in this lab, we're going to be installing IPAM on a member server. We'll then in turn be configuring IPAM. So to do this, we'll be using, of course, our domain controller. It's up and running, as you can see, and we're going to install IPAM on our lun-svr1. In our first exercise, we'll be doing just that, installing it. IP Address Management, IPAM, is a feature that was first introduced with Windows Server 2012, and it provides an administrator with the ability to plan, manage, track, and audit the use of all IP addresses as well as the DNS and DHCP services within the network. IPAM requires several steps to successfully configure the server, discovery, and address space management. The planning stage is fairly simple, but the servers, services, and administrators must be all fully configured carefully to ensure the feature adds full value. We are already logged into our SVR1. We're just going to simply go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. We're going to click Next, Next on the destination, Next on the roles, Next. It's a feature. We're going to scroll down. We can see right here, IP Address Management Server. We're going to select that. We're going to add our remote server administration tools. That gives us our graphical management. We'll click Next and Install. We can see that if not already installed, we'll have some additional items are also installed, such as ASP.NET 4.7 or WTF services with TCP activation. And like in all our videos, while our installation proceeds, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and for you, the viewer, we'll be back in a second. Okay, that really didn't take very long at all. We probably could have let the video proceed, but we're going to click close. And that's our first exercise. It's just that simple, just like most of our other installations. Now, this will be the part that's going to take a little while. The configuring of IPAM. In this exercise, we're going to configure and enable IPAM so it can scan and manage IP addresses. IPAM provisioning is the process of allowing the IPAM server to configure and manage the necessary features and functions of the servers, services, and domain objects required for IPAM. We're going to go ahead and we're going to run PowerShell as administrator, just to be certain. And we're going to invoke our IPAM provisioning for our group policy objects. So we're going to use the invoke command, and it's invoke -IPAM G, and I'm going to hit tab complete, let it fill it in for us, save some spelling errors. We're going to specify the domain that it's for, and that's for our datum.com domain. We're going to do another space, and now we need to give a prefix to the GPOs that are going to be created, and we do that by doing GPO pre and then tab complete for the name, and we're going to prefix this with IPAM1. You could have anything for your specific use. We're going to give also the fully qualified name of the server that's going to be our IPAM server. We do that through the IPAM SE server FQDN, and of course the server that we're installing to, it's lun-svr1.adatum.com, and we press enter. It says, hey, you've not specified optional parameters. Do you want to go ahead and perform this action? Yes, I do. I press enter. We're validating, we're creating, we're importing those GPOs. It says the group policy requires each computer account to have permissions. Do they? Yes, we do. We want to continue. Enter. Again, we're prompted. another one, and we're done. It was just a prompt for each one of those GPOs that's been created. And if we look over here on our domain controller under group policy management, if we go ahead, we can take a look. Right there are our group policies that were just created. Those are the links. Here are the actual group policies. Remember, when you're looking under your domain tree, you're looking at links. These are not the actual group policy objects. Here under group policy objects are those objects. We're going to go back over to SVR1. And now what we're going to do is we now have our IPAM. We're going to unlike many services, we're going to manage that from our server manager. You don't manage it from the tools. We're going to go ahead and we're going to we can see that we're already connected to our LUN SVR1, so we don't have to do step 1. We are going to go ahead and we're going to go to provision the IPAM server. This brings up our wizard here. Now we're going to click next on our wizard screen, and we're going to use the Windows internal database. We don't have a SQL server to connect to. We're going to do this on our SVR1. We're going to simply click next. We are going to be doing this group policy based, so we need to go ahead and we need to type in that same prefix that we gave in our PowerShell command line. That was IPAM1. We'll click next. It says, hey, it's going to make the following changes. It's going to do our provisioning. It's going to create our database, do some tasks, local security groups, all these good things. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click apply. And once this is done applying, we're going to go ahead and have our class take our screenshot and paste this into step 12. And there it is. Go ahead and get your screenshot, paste that into step 12. Now, previously, there was a requirement when we finished installing IPAM to take a screenshot, but you know what? We've installed many roles, many features. Don't worry about that. Okay, you got your screenshot. We're going to click close, and we're going to continue on. We're now going to jump over to our DC1, and we're already in our group policy management. We've expanded our forest, we've expanded our domains. And let's answer our first question. It's real easy. You can see it on your screen. Which 3 GPOs, that's group policy objects, were added for IPAM? Very simply, IPAM1 underscore DC underscore NPS, IPAM1 underscore DHCP, and IPAM1 underscore DNS. Question number 1. We can go ahead and we're going to go in our London DC1. I'm going to click on Tools and ADUC, Active Directory Users and Computers. Once that starts up there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make this a little bit larger so it's easier to see. And we're going to expand the users container. There's only our users here. We're going to go down here. We can see that there's an IPAM user group. Let's double click on that. Let's answer our second question. What type of group is IPAM-UG? Well, you can see it's a universal security group. Your group type, universal security group. Question number 2. We're going to select the Members tab. And which member is in the IPAM user group? Well, there's only one listed there. There you go. LUN SVR1. That's question number 3. Let's select the Member Of tab. We're going to make it a member of some other groups. We're going to add, and we're going to type in Enterprise Admins. We're going to click Add, and we're going to do Event Log Readers. We've made this group a member of these 2 other groups. We're going to click OK, and we're done with Active Directory Users and Computers. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we're going to reboot our DC1. We're going to restart, and it's a good It's a good idea to get into the habit that if you're going to restart a server, I don't care if it's a member server or a domain controller, make sure you specify the reason why you're restarting. This gets logged in your event log. This way you've got an audit trail for what the purpose of that restart was. We're going to select operating system reconfiguration planned and click continue. Should only take a moment for it to restart, and while it does, I'm going to go ahead and grab a sip of coffee. Coffee keeps IT moving, doesn't it? All right, should be coming up here in just a moment. We're going to go back over to our LUN SVR1. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our configure server discovery. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that. And it says, hey, we need to get some information here. Well, you know what? This is still starting up. I'm going to wait until it fully starts up there. It's applying the settings. We want to make sure that our domain is fully accessible before we try to do our discovery. So this is taking a few moments. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pause the video. No need for us to sit here watch an old swirly go around. Yeah, Microsoft actually named it swirly. I'm going to be back with you in a second. Okay, our domain controller is back up and running. We're in good shape. We're green across the board. And now let's go ahead. Let's click Get Forests. So background task has started and it's trying to pull in information, what it can find out about our forest and our domains. So far, nothing there. So we need to wait for this to complete. This can take some minutes at times. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK. We can see that it's proceeding along. We're going to refresh the page. We're going to go back to that configure server discovery again, and now we can see our information's in there. We want to add our datum.com discovered domain. It is now listed to be able to find information about these. This is the server roles to discover: domain controller, DHCP server, DNS server. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click OK. We've now completed step 3. Now we're ready to start server discovery. These discovery tasks can sometimes take a few minutes. We're going to click Start Discovery, and it's sitting there running. Now, if we look down here at the bottom, we can see a little bit of what's going on. It doesn't tell us a whole lot there, but down here it does. We can see these things running. It's currently still running. We need to wait for this to complete. This could take 5, it could take 10 minutes. Now, I don't anticipate it taking that long because I'm running on solid state drives. On your system, depending on how your server is configured or how your virtual environment's configured, it could take more than 10 minutes. I'll be back as soon as our discovery is completed. Okay, the server discovery process has completed. Took about 3-4 minutes, and we can see now under server discovery it does say ready. That's the next run time. That would be, it runs every 24 hours. So we completed it at 8:55. So let's go ahead, we're going to go up and we're going to select our step 5, select our add servers to manage and verify IPAM access. What we're going to do is we can see that our IPAM access is blocked. We need to right click on our DC1 and we want to select edit server. This is the first thing you've got to do in here. We want to switch this from manageability status unspecified. We want to select managed. We're also going to make sure that not only DC and DNS server is checked, we also want to check DHCP because we have a DHCP server on our DC1 in this case. It did discover our DC1, as you can see. We're going to click OK. Depending on your environment, if you're doing this in an actual environment, if you've got servers that have individual roles, you've got multiple DNS servers, you've got multiple DHCP servers, maybe for failover, whatever it may be, you could have multiple servers that you've got to configure here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to click OK. Now you can see it still says we still have some issues, right? It's still giving us some problems. We're going to right click and we're going to say refresh server access status. Okay, it's running. Sometimes here again you have to do this multiple times. We can see the managed status has changed, but we're still blocked and we still need to unblock. We're going to let's go ahead and we're going to refresh it again. I've seen where you've got to do this multiple times. Let's go back into that edit server, just take a look. It does say managed. We're all good here. We're going to tell it to refresh the server access status once more. Let's go back over to our overview. Let's take a look down here, see if we can see anything running. No, there's nothing running there. Now we can see that task is running. Take some time. Still blocked. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to retrieve again. We can see some status here. We're still showing that it needs to be unblocked. If we look at that edit server again, it does say managed. We're going to go ahead and we're going to press F5 just to refresh our view. Here again, this can take a few minutes. You can see that it's still running. So just to save some time in the video, I'm going to go ahead and pause it while this continues to run, and I'll come back as soon as it's completed. Be back with you in a second. Okay, it's still running. It just completed. Let's go ahead. We're going to right click and we're going to say retrieve all server data. And we'll see if that clears anything up. Still shows blocked. It's running. There, completed. Still shows blocked. Now, understand you may need to run the retrieve all server data and refresh server access status tasks a couple of times before it becomes unblocked. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to refresh that server access status once more. I've seen where students had to do this 3-4 times before it was successful. Other students, it happened after 1 or 2 refreshes. It just depends on your particular system. We know that we should be able to manage it. We should be able to get access. It's just a matter of it pulling in that and unblocking itself. And now there, I just pressed F5. Now we're unblocked and access is unblocked. We're good to go. All I did was refresh on both. Refresh server access status, let it complete. Refresh all server data, let it complete. Press F5, refresh your screen. Still blocked? Rinse and repeat. Refresh server access status, retrieve all server data. Press F5 to refresh your screen. Still blocked? Give it time. Server access, all server. F5 to refresh. Eventually it will be unblocked. Let's go ahead, we're going to go back up to our overview and we'll scroll back up to the top of our screen, and we're ready for step number 6, and that's retrieving our data from our servers. This was all in preparation for us to actually be able to retrieve data from the servers. We're going to click on step 6. Now here again, I've clicked on it. We can see our progression bar here that just simply shows that it's running. If I scroll down, we should be able to see that run. Oh, no, it doesn't even show us a running test there. You have no idea what's going on aside, okay, looks like it completed. Says it completed. Okay, let's take a look. Let's go into our IPAM, our IP address blocks, and see if we see anything discovered. Yes, it did. This is our DHCP range that we provisioned in DHCP. This is the range of addresses that we can hand out. Let's take a look here. And I want my students to answer question number 4. Which address block has already been added? Well, the network. I want you to specify the network, not the range of addresses. The block that it falls in is 172.16.0.0/24. That's the address block. Within that, we've got a specific range that we're handing out. Question 4, 172.16.0.0/24. We're going to go ahead and under tasks, we're going to select task and we're going to say add IP address block. Our add screen appears. For the network ID, we're going to type in 192.168.10.0, and for the prefix length, we're going to make it 24. And as soon as we've specified that network ID and the prefix, we can click OK. We're going to go back to our IP address space and select IP address inventory. We can then click Tasks, Retrieve Address Space Data. Our task is running. While that's doing, let's go ahead and we're going to go down to our Monitor and Manage, and we're going to select DNS and DHCP servers. Well, it should find one listing for each, all on the same server, our DC1, and it does. Let's go ahead and we're going to select the DHCP scopes. Here we can see our scope. Under DNS zones, we can see our zones for our DNS. This is how we go about configuring IPAM for our environment. Now in our next lab, we're going to illustrate how we can use this to actually create new DHCP scopes, create new DNS zones, add records, and do actual management. Thank you for viewing Lab 6 in 70-741. This is how we install and configure IPAM. As I say in all of our labs and lessons, I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next lab or lesson. Have a great one.